Perfect. First of all, I want to welcome you to the course English for Business. Today we're going to see session one, that is how do I import products. This is part of unit number one, that is the introduction to imports, okay? And your teacher Liliana Quipuzco. So today's session, we're going to see in a general aspect how's the complete import procedure. Let's say in that way. We're going to see like really a really quick, a very to the point session where we're going to see the specific some tips for the process. Later on the other sessions during the course, we're going to see more specifics about each part of all the procedures. So this is going to be like a general introduction class. Okay, so first of all, we're going to see the course considerations. First of all, you must speak English during the entire conference. If you're not able to speak or to say what you want to say in English, you can put it in Spanish. It is no problem, but let's try to practice our English, writing everything in that language. Second, you can ask questions during the course of the conference. Third, I would really appreciate if you can share maybe any anecdotes, experiences, or maybe any problems that are related to the subject that we're going to see today. So maybe we can help you. And finally, at the end of the session, we're going to have an exam that I'm going to give you the link. It is a multiple choice question exams that has 4 alternatives. Also, remember that you can find this material and also the video on the virtual classroom. Okay, so now we're going to start. Oh, and finally, if you have any questions, you can write them on the group chat and we're going to answer it after we finish each part, okay? So we do not interrupt the session. Okay, so we saw that today we're going to have session one, that is how do I import products. So first of all, what is import? To import, do you know? So when we don't know a word or when we are not sure, we have to go to the dictionary, right? So according to Cambridge Dictionary, import is to bring or to buy products from another country. On the other hand, according to Oxford Dictionaries, to import is to bring goods or services into a country from abroad for sale. So let's pick up the most important words of these meanings. In this case, we have that import could be to buy or bring in products or services. So import is buying or bringing in, could be products, could be services that are located in another country to our own country. Okay? So now that we know the definition of import, we're going to see in some steps how do I import products and what should I be careful about. So first of all, before you import any kind of product, you have to know the first step, it is the product. Which product am I going to import? What am I going to import? Why do I want to sell? It is not only why do I want to sell, also it is to know maybe I like, for example, let's say I like Harry Potter. So maybe I want to sell Harry Potter related stuff, but how do I know that if I import Harry Potter, let's say memorabilia or maybe some, let's say jewelry or maybe clothes, how do I know that I'm going to be able to sell those products here? That there's people that have the money to buy what I'm going to sell. So I have to look for that. I have to maybe do a little survey, encuesta, and maybe put it on Facebook or ask a friend to pass it on to other friends. And so I'm able to know if my product is going to be bought. Okay, so that's first of all. Another point that you have to be careful about it is I have to know first of all this first step if the product that I want to bring is restricted or prohibited. For example, if according to customs, Peruvian customs, in this case or not, my product is prohibited, I'm not going to be able to import it. So I have to look for another product. On the other hand, if my product is restricted or has any kind of maybe permission that I have to ask for, I have to look it up. So I have to see if I'm going to be able to have this permission from the entity that is in charge of giving the permission to import it. For example, let's see an example. Okay, so let's talk about toys. Um, a couple a couple of weeks ago was Christmas, so I have one of your classmates that wanted to bring some cars. Okay, I don't know if you have seen this like really not little cars, but cars that are for children, maybe from 3 to 6 years old. There are like that looks like a really regular car for an adult. So this person wanted to bring this car. Those let's say another example so you can understand what I'm saying. These cars that you can like rent on some malls. I have seen them in Plaza Lima Sur and Plaza Norte, where you rent these cars for like 15, 20 minutes so your kid can jump in and go use this car on the area. So this person wanted to bring this car, to import this car from China. So we looked it up and we didn't have any restrictions, so we were good to go to bring this toy in this case. But there was one little detail that he was going to miss. This car used a battery. So I asked this person, hey, if you're going to bring this car, to import this car, you have to look if the battery comes with the toy. And he said, yes, it comes with the toy. So I say to him again, um, ask for the material safety data sheet or the MSDS or FDS safety data sheet to see if the battery is maybe has any restrictions, not only customer restrictions, but maybe some transport restrictions. So he said, okay, I'm gonna ask it. So he asked for the SDS of the battery, and the battery indeed was um, restricted for any kind of transport except road transport by car. So it was impossible that he was going to be able to bring the battery from China to Peru via car, right? He had to use another, maybe by sea or by air. So it was a problem. So at this first step, asking for these SDS, these specifications, and look into very well about the product, he was able to find out that he wasn't going to be able to import the product. So it is a very critical point to know if our product can be imported. And not only the product, also maybe any kind of uh, extra products, accessories that the product uh, indeed needs in order to function. Okay? So this is a very important point. Also, you can use some tools in order to find if your product is being imported to Peru, and also if it's going to be how's how's the market? Maybe I want to bring from China, but when I look it up and use some tools, I find that this product is being imported more from India. So maybe India has a better price. So I have to look it up. So you can use two tools. One is Trade Map, and the other one is one that I really like is the Observatory. So it is the Atlas Media webpage. So right now I'm gonna share to you my screen so we can see together. So I'm going to ask you for just a couple of seconds so I can load the web page. Okay, so you're going to help me, you're going to let me know if you can see. Okay, so perfect. This is the trade map web page, as you can see it here. Okay, so what you're going to see, what you're going to find here, you're going to find imports and exports not only from Peru, but you are going to find worldwide from all the countries. Also, you can look it up by group. In this case, maybe you can look it up by not just, let's say, Germany, but you can find it like from all Europe. Okay, so this is a very useful tool that um, you can log in and find information. Maybe if you're going to make imports, if you have a business, or maybe if you are going just to make a project for your university, or if doing a thesis. This is a very good and uh, a very good source of information. Also, you can put it in Spanish, as you can see here right now. I have it in Spanish, and you can log in. So you can create um, you can create um, an account for yourself, so you can have it like more personalized. But if you don't want to, that's okay, because we can use it just like this. So first of all, we're going to see imports. So we click in here. If you want to look for exports, you can click on the other way. Then you're going to find the product. So in this case, we're going to see, let's say, from clothes. So we're going to see for clothes, in this case, textiles, okay? As you can see by the code, the HTS code, the chapter, so you can be as specific as you want or as general as you want. In this case, I'm gonna be really general and just look up for the chapter 63. Then you're going to look for the country. In this case, we're going to look for Peruvian imports. So you click on Peru. You can also look for a partner. So maybe if you want to see maybe if Afghanistan sell chapter, any kind of product from the chapter 63 to Peru, you can look it up here. In this case, we're going to see worldwide, so we don't put anything there. Now remember that this tool is for free, right? It is not like other tools that you have to pay. For example, let's say we have Adex Data Trade, that is a Peruvian one that we can pay for it, and you can also look for this information. Because TradeMap is free, sometimes you are not going to be able to find all the information. Maybe there are going to be some chapters that doesn't have any information, or maybe that the information is incomplete. It is not because it doesn't mean that chapter 63 was never imported. It just means that TradeBot wasn't able to find the information and to load it up because it is free. So we're not going to have like a really accurate, complete information all the time from this web page. But even though it is a good source of information, because you can see that it is related in here to the United Nations, to the to the World Trade Organization, OMS in Spanish, and to the European Union. Okay, so we're going to put here and we click. So we're going to find out if there is any information about chapter 63, imports, Peruvian imports. Okay, so now that it's loaded up, we can go a little, scroll down, and we're going to see here the information. So for chapter 63, the main exporter, so our main seller was China, then it was India, then the United States. We have here Zona Franca, then Pakistan, Colombia, España, Ecuador, Mexico, Brazil. So we're going to find all the countries. Next to it, we're going to find the import value in 2017. And we're going to find also more information about it. So we're going to find the percentage, how was the growth. So first of all, what you can use this tool for is to know, maybe I want to bring some products from chapter 63. So I don't know, I'm not sure if I have to import it from, let's say, Italy or France or China, who has the better price. So in this case, if China, it is the main country, it means that maybe they have the best price. So it is cheaper to buy from China, or maybe they have a better quality. So it is a better quality to buy from China. So I should look up for maybe some of my suppliers to be from these countries. Okay, so this is a very good tool for users for this. Now, the other web page is the Observatory of Economic Complexity. Okay, so we're going to see this one in here. We're going to load it up. So this is the web page of the Observatory of Economic Complexity. We just click here and we look for the country. So we're going to look for Peru. Now, a detail that I must say to you about this webpage, I really like this one because it is really interactive. You're going to see why. But the problem is that if your computer has too much information, it's not that fast, it's going to take a little bit to load the web page. So if it happens to you, you just have to be patient and wait a little bit until it loads completely. Okay, so this is good. It is loading really, really fast. It usually takes a little bit to load up. So we have here the main information about Peru. We're going to see a little more information about the Peruvian imports and exports. And now we have in here exports, but what we want to see is imports. So we have here imports. As I told you, it is interactive because we're going to see that we have information from 2016. It hasn't loaded up information from 2017. So it could be a little bit all the information for, let's say, investigation purposes. To have information from 2016 and 17 right now, it is still good. So you can feel that you have update information from these two last years. Okay, so if it is from 2016 or 2017, we are good to go. We can use that information. It is good to use it right now. Okay, so we can see that the amount that Peru imported from in 2016, $36.1 billion, and we were the 55th largest importer in the world. So first of all, we have color sky blue. So sky blue means that it is machines, and if you just put your mouse on the logo, you're going to see the import value is 9.45 billion, and we can have in here all the machine section. So you can just put the mouse over it. Do not press any button, just put over it, and we're going to see that the more important um, product that was imported, the most important section that was imported from machines in 2016, what was broadcasting equipment. We can also see here that we have industrial printers, computers, telephones. We have also cards. We have delivery trucks. We have petroleum. We have cleaning products, pesticides. We have um, iron. So this section maybe it is about metals. Okay, it is. We also have rubber tires, ethylene polymers. So this section must be the section for plastic and rubbers. So you can just look up into all of the details and you're going to find which products are the imports, which products we import. So you can just find on the bottom also, so you know which color is for which section. So if you are maybe interested in importing, let's say, instruments, so it is this color. There is like a kind of fuchsia, like a really kind of purplish color. So if you want to import maybe some kind of instruments, we can look up the biggest section of this, and we know that the most imported products, the most important instruments were medical instruments. So we know that maybe there is a good market for selling medical instruments. So maybe from this information we can go to trade map and track a little more about which code is for medical instruments, which products exactly maybe we can import, and then we can do all the tracking information to find which product exactly, and if this product has any restrictions or it is prohibited, and if it's not, maybe we can choose that product and decide to import. Okay, so that is one of the first steps. So now we're going to see, okay, so now back to the slides. This was the first, looking for the product. Next, we're going to see looking for the supplier. In this case, which supplier? We can use three kinds of suppliers. We can use a recommended supplier. That means that maybe a friend or maybe our competitor or maybe a relative is going to bring us their supplier. So let's say that Aldair wants to import, let's say, shoes, sneakers, and I sell sneakers. So maybe Aldair can ask me, Liliana, do you know any kind of suppliers for sneakers because you sell sneakers? And I'm going to say to him, yes, I do. I know a really good supplier that is from China that I'm using right now. I sell this kind of sneakers, so please try not to bring this kind of sneakers. Look for another kind of maybe material or maybe designs, so I can give you my supplier. So I'm going to pass my supplier to him. So this is going to be a recommended supplier. It doesn't mean that he has to choose the supplier, but it is one supplier that he can add to his potential list of suppliers. So it is okay to have recommended suppliers. Another kind of suppliers are the new suppliers. This means that you are going to find them for yourself. Also, you can look, I don't know if you have seen on Facebook especially, that they sell list of approval suppliers, I think they're called, or secure, safe suppliers. So you can do that, but as I in kind of funny way of saying, I think that a supplier is something so delicate, and it is has to be one of a kind. So it is like looking for a boyfriend or girlfriend. You cannot just because that supplier was good to your friend or to your competitor. It doesn't mean that it's going to work for you, because you have special needs and you're going to have maybe special characteristics that you like or any kind of demands. So it is better if you find for yourself for a supplier that is going to fit you perfectly. So I would recommend you not to use recommended suppliers. Instead, find new suppliers. In this way, we can say that this Facebook supplier list could be the ones that go into the recommended part, not the new one. Okay. Another kind of supplier are the old suppliers. What does this mean? It means that maybe I bought sneakers last year. I imported from China, so this year, 2019, I'm going to buy sneakers also to sell. So in this case, who is going to be my supplier? I'm going to use the supplier that I used maybe on 2018. So this would mean that I'm using an old supplier. Maybe you didn't use, maybe let's say that in 2017 I used another supplier. So in 2019, I'm not going to use my supplier from 2018. Instead, I'm going to use the one from 2017. So this could mean also that you're using an old supplier. Okay? If your old supplier was good, and he had a good price, he had a good quality, he had a good delivery time, it is okay to use an old supplier. But you always have to do a comparison with some other potential suppliers every time that you're going to buy. We're going to see this a little more later. Now, what are the kind of suppliers that you can use? You can use the factory. You can buy from the factory directly, but remember that it's not always going to be possible, especially if it is a big factory. Sometimes they are going to have authorized dealers in here in the country. Maybe you contact, let's say, for example, I wanted to buy some medicines that they weren't being selling here, so I contacted the factory that it was located in the United States. In this case, the factory told me, hey, I cannot sell you because I have a authorized dealer in Peru that is called ABC company, let's say. So I called to ABC, and ABC told me that they weren't able to sell to me because um, they didn't have any kind of frozen here in the country. So I went back to the factory and told them, and they say, okay, just because ABC doesn't have this product, we're going to be able to sell to you. Okay, so it could happen. Another kind of suppliers that you can use are e-commerce suppliers, maybe like AliExpress, Alibaba, Amazon, and maybe also eBay. Even though I didn't really like eBay because of the time that the warranty time that they gave you, it is like a little too little. It is like 30, 45 days, and especially if you buy via Serpos, you don't get your products in 45 days. It takes longer. So maybe Alibaba and AliExpress are a little more flexible, and also Amazon to give you a little more warranty time. Okay. Now we have the samples. um, do you know what is samples? Samples means if I'm going to buy, let's say, 100 sneakers, it means that I'm going to bring one sample, one pair of sneakers to test them out to see how's the quality and how's the color, the material. That is a sample. In this case, I have to, every time I'm going to import products, I have to see if I'm going to need the sample. If I'm going to buy too much, it's going to be bulk, it's going to be a lot of products, I will need a sample to test out. If I'm just going to buy, let's say, a couple of products, let's say just 3 or 4 pair of shoes, and they are not that expensive, maybe it wouldn't be necessary to bring samples because the amount of money and the amount of products doesn't requires a sample, so I have to check that. Also, in this case, how many samples will I need? Maybe if I'm going to bring a huge container, a complete container with four kinds of, with one design of sneakers in four colors, let's say, I will have to bring one sample for each color. Okay. Also, let my supplier that I need samples, so he can let me know if it's going to be for free, the sample that he's going to sell, or how much it's going to cost me. After this, after you use the sample and you test it out and it was okay, you can bulk up. It means that if the samples were good, you're going to buy now, bulking up all the amount that you want. In this case, how many products am I going to buy? Am I going to buy a container? Am I going to buy just, let's say, 100 pairs of sneakers? And how often? This is important because if you're going to buy maybe twice a year, two times a year, you can let your supplier know so he can maybe give you a better price. Also, always remember to look for the better prices. In this case, the better prices for our product. Okay? Now about the shipping. In this case, we're going to see if the shipping has to be via air, via sea, or via road. What do we have to see about this? We have to look for the availability. In this case, my supplier is good to send products via sea, or he only works with air. In this case, if he only uses air transport methods, I will have to maybe adequate to what he uses, or maybe I'm going to say, hey, I'm sorry, I only need for C because it is cheaper, it's the best. The best fit for it fits better for me, so I'm not going to be able to buy from you, and I look for another supplier. Also, you can check the price. In this case, which is cheaper? Do I prefer a cheaper shipping that is going to be by sea, or maybe I need a faster shipping, so it will have to be bring via air, right? I have to look this, which are my needs. Also, I have to look for the characteristics of the product. In this case, if the product is too delicate, or maybe the product is going to the expiration date or the lifetime of my product is too small, maybe the best way of bring the product is via air instead of sea. So I have to look for the characteristics of the product. And then we have customs and freight forwarder. In this case, am I going to use surplus? Am I going to use a courier? Or am I going to make a regular import using logistics operator? In this case, if we use courier, it's going to be FedEx, UPS, DHL, EMS, or TNT. In this case, remember that these couriers are a little more expensive. The cheapest, let's say, way of bringing the air is going to be surplus. So we're going to see now how to use the option of surplus. And finally, remember that logistic operators, it means that you will contact a custom agent and a freight forwarder. Now, looking about surplus, in order to use import fácil, that it is the easiest way of import via surplus, you can be a natural person with a RUC or just with your ID, DNA, or you can be a legal entity. It's okay. Both can import. Remember that Import Facilities it's a service that is implemented by Sunat, and you can import through Surplus. If you are importing $200 or less, you don't have any custom procedures and you don't have to pay any import duty. You will just have to wait until the product gets to your house. It usually takes from 30 to 90 days. But remember that depending of your surplus agency, according to where you live, it could take a little longer. For example, I can say to you that I bought some products for myself on June for Father's Day, and it just got here last week, so it took almost 6 months. But it is because my postal agency, my surpost agency here near my house, it is like really, really messy, so they take too much time because they are not efficient enough. I know other surpost agency in another districts that are really good, and the post get in 60 days or even less. Now, the other point is when you import more than $200 up to $2,000. Remember not to buy $2,000 exactly. Remember to buy a little less just in case. In this case, your products could be subject to the payment of import duties. So that is going to let you know. To your house is going to get a little paper where they are going to let you know the number of your declaration and how much, where do you have to look up and how much will you have to pay. And remember that once you pay the duties, Sunat is going to make available your product, so Surplus can deliver it to your house or let you know that the product is too big for Surplus to bring it to your house, so you will have to go to the Surplus agency to pick it up. Also remember that you can pay your duties via these banks: BCP, BBVA, Banbif, Banco Financiero, Scotiabank, and also you can pay on Banco de la Nación. And what happens if it is a higher amount? You can do a regular import, like I told you, using stakeholders, in this case, a custom agent and a freight forwarder. It is free. And now, finally, we're going to see step 7, that it means tracking. In this case, tracking, it means that you can look on the app of Serpos. We're going to see later on how to use the Serpos app. Also, you can make a track of your products via phone call if you're importing directly from another company. Also, you can use an email, you can send emails, you can use WhatsApp. This is very good when you're talking to Chinese suppliers, because when we are sleeping, they are awake, and when they are awake, we are sleeping. So it is faster to talk via WhatsApp. And also, you can look on some web pages. In this case, you can look on the FedEx webpage, UPS, DHL, and TNT have some pages that you can look how to track down. So in this case, you can see here, and you can put just the tracking number, and you're going to track, and it's going to download you all the information of your product. And finally, you can analyze and improve. This means that you're going to see how was your import, if you have any problems, if it can be better,